Apple and McDonald's, two of the most powerful and beloved American brands, are losing their grip, and it's not happening just anywhere. This is happening in China, one of the largest, most influential, and fastest-growing markets in the world. These once unshakable titans are slipping, and their decline is far from temporary. What was once considered a golden opportunity in one of the world's largest economies is rapidly turning into a massive challenge. This isn't just a small hiccup in the market, this is a tectonic shift that threatens to shake the very foundations of the global economy. The rules of success are changing, and they are being rewritten by China. The ripple effects will be felt globally, from the tech industry to finance and even international trade. We are witnessing the rise of a new economic world order, where the West's dominance is being challenged like never before. Let's look at the bigger picture. Over the past decade, China has evolved from a low-cost manufacturing hub to an innovation powerhouse. Chinese companies, once seen as mere imitators, are now trendsetters shaping the future of technology, consumer behavior, and even the global economy. Companies like Huawei, Xiaomi, and Luckin Coffee are no longer just domestic players, they are global giants. Their rise has come at the expense of American brands as local companies prove they are not just competing, they are leading. Take Huawei, for example. Once overshadowed by Western tech giants, it is now at the forefront of 5G technology and artificial intelligence. Not only has Huawei's technological innovation propelled it into the global spotlight, but its national pride has struck a deep chord with Chinese consumers. When Huawei was hit with US sanctions, the company didn't just suffer in silence, it became a symbol of resilience for the Chinese people. Consumers rallied around Huawei, seeing it as a stand against foreign interference, and its market share in China surged by 30% after the sanctions. This wasn't just about a product, it was about national defiance and pride. And it's not just Huawei. Companies like Oppo and Luckin Coffee are taking massive strides in industries once dominated by Apple, Starbucks, and McDonald's. Their ability to innovate and provide affordable alternatives has placed them in direct competition with Western brands, and the local competition is winning. So what's driving this transformation? The answer is clear: price, quality, and nationalism. Apple, once synonymous with cutting-edge technology and luxury, is now seen by many as a premium brand that's no longer accessible to the average Chinese consumer. While Apple continues to boast premium prices, local competitors like Oppo, Xiaomi, and Vivo offer similar features at a fraction of the cost. A recent McKinsey & Company study shows that 62% of Chinese consumers now prioritize value for money over the allure of premium Western labels. Consumers are no longer willing to pay top dollar for foreign products when local alternatives offer equal, or even superior, quality for a fraction of the price. Price and the perception of quality have drastically shifted. The younger generation of Chinese consumers, particularly those under 35, increasingly view local brands like Xiaomi, Oppo, and Huawei as on par with, if not better than, foreign brands. 55% of respondents in a Statista survey reported they trust Chinese brands as much as, or more than, their Western counterparts. This growing confidence in local products is a game changer. It means that Apple's once unassailable grip on the high-end smartphone market is being steadily eroded by brands that understand the needs of the Chinese market, often better than Western companies. But price and quality are just part of the equation. In China, nationalism is playing an increasingly significant role in consumer decisions. The rise of national pride isn't just about a political movement, it's deeply embedded in consumer behavior. The growing tensions between China and the United States have fueled a wave of patriotism among young Chinese consumers. In fact, 80% of young Chinese consumers now say they prefer buying from local brands as a way of supporting their country's economy and ideals. This isn't a passing trend, it's a cultural shift that has huge implications for foreign brands trying to navigate this new landscape. For many Chinese consumers, buying products from Huawei, Xiaomi, or Luckin Coffee isn't just about getting a good deal, it's about standing in solidarity with their nation's rise. It's about rejecting Western influence and embracing local innovation. In a climate of rising geopolitical tensions, this shift is becoming more pronounced by the day. But let's not forget about the economic realities. The cost of living in China, particularly in major cities like Beijing and Shanghai, has risen sharply over the past few years. Since 2022, the average cost of goods and housing has increased by nearly 15%, putting a significant strain on household budgets. As living costs continue to climb, Chinese consumers are becoming more value-conscious, choosing affordable, high-quality alternatives over luxury foreign products. Take McDonald's and Starbucks as examples. Once symbols of Western luxury and coolness, both Western brands have now been pushed to the periphery, with their products costing nearly twice as much as local coffee and fast food chains like Luckin Coffee and Dao's. These American giants are being sidelined by more affordable local options. Luckin Coffee, for example, has aggressively priced its products to directly compete with Starbucks, leading to a 30% increase in market share in the past year. Affordability is the name of the game, and foreign brands that fail to adjust their pricing structures risk losing their foothold in China's rapidly changing economy. But even if American brands could solve the price and quality issues, they still face a massive challenge: China's increasingly complex regulatory environment. China has implemented a slew of new policies that make it more difficult for foreign companies to operate freely. For instance, Apple and Tesla are now required to store user data on Chinese soil, which has led to huge compliance costs and significant security concerns. In fact, Apple had to reconfigure its entire data infrastructure in China, a project that cost millions of dollars. These regulatory hurdles place foreign brands at a severe disadvantage compared to local companies that are not subjected to the same strictures. This regulatory environment is a double-edged sword. While it gives local companies an edge, it forces foreign companies to either comply or exit the market altogether. For many Western giants, the price of compliance has become a burden they can no longer afford. Beyond these logistical and economic challenges, there's another critical factor that American companies cannot afford to overlook: sustainability. In China, sustainability is no longer just a nice-to-have. It's a core value that increasingly drives consumer behavior. Young Chinese consumers, especially those under 30, are highly eco-conscious and prefer to buy from brands that align with their sustainability values. In fact, 72% of Chinese consumers under 30 now actively look for brands that have a strong environmental stance, according to a Greenpeace China study. Brands that fail to meet these expectations will find themselves out of step with the next generation of consumers. Nike, for instance, launched its Move to Zero campaign in China, which focuses on reducing waste and using sustainable materials. This effort has paid off, particularly with younger consumers who are increasingly demanding that the brands they support prioritize the environment. Ultimately, though, to truly succeed in China, American brands need to build deep emotional connections with local consumers. This is where many foreign brands fall short. In China, successful brands are those that go beyond just selling a product; they sell a story, a message, a cultural experience. The ability to tap into local cultural moments, understand the unique values of Chinese consumers, and create an emotional resonance is what makes the difference between success and failure. Apple has done this well, particularly with its campaigns surrounding Chinese New Year, where it has used heartfelt storytelling to connect with Chinese consumers on a cultural level. McDonald's too has adapted its menu to local tastes, introducing regional flavors and embracing digital innovations like AI-powered kiosks and facial recognition payment systems. China is vast, and its regional diversity presents a unique challenge for foreign brands. What works in Beijing may not resonate in Shenzhen. Successful companies understand this and tailor their approaches accordingly. Coca-Cola, for example, has adapted its flavors to match local preferences, even introducing region-specific drinks like Sichuan-flavored cola. But it's not just about product localization, it's about cultural sensitivity. Brands that fail to understand the nuances of Chinese culture risk falling flat. We've seen this with companies like Dolce & Gabbana, who faced public backlash after a culturally insensitive campaign. On the other hand, Coca-Cola's deep cultural engagement with Chinese New Year has led to a 20% increase in brand loyalty over just 3 years. In the end, the battle for China's market is far from over. For American brands like Apple and McDonald's, the stakes have never been higher. To survive and thrive, they will need to adjust to China's evolving economic, political, and cultural landscape. The key to success will be a mix of adaptability and cultural sensitivity. And this is no longer just about selling products, it's about understanding a rapidly changing world and navigating it with agility. The clock is ticking, and the future of global commerce is at stake. So the question remains, will Apple, McDonald's, and other Western giants adapt quickly enough, or will they be left behind as Chinese companies continue to dominate the market?